What's up, everybody? Today, the second day of the Los Angeles Times Festival of Books. Still, we are at the beautiful campus of University of Southern California. Right next to me is one of our award best-selling author, Mr. Jeremy Davies. Mr. Davies, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. Thanks so much for asking.
All right. How's LA Book Fair treating you so far?
I've had a great time. The first day I was free, and I just went and I stopped in at every booth that there weren't a lot of people. And I love hearing about the passion of other authors, figuring out how they got to where they are, and finding a lot of intersection with my experience.
Indeed, sir. Well, a lot of people here are looking for collaborations, and I think you made the right choice to be here. As you can see, the crowd is really crazy. All right, and this is where you can promote your platforms, your books. So we have 4 books, right? I want you to explain to us one of each book and tell us what makes it unique, and invite your book readers to grab a copy of it.
This book, it's not in public. It was published for just a short amount of time, and events took it down. But this is a book that was a dream. I woke up from a rather complex dream. I have these sort of like action-adventure movies that I'm in a character in. But as I thought about what was going on, I realized that it's made a pretty good plot. So I started writing it, untangling the pieces that didn't work in the dream and making them work in the book. Had a time of my life writing it. I still think it's an excellent book. It was a little bit timely with political situation. And I found out then how challenging the world of publishing is, and how much I need some people who could really guide me through it. I made a poor choice, and about a couple weeks after this came on, and so I had nice copies, everything fell to pieces, and I was left. So it's a great book. You can't get it, but you'd love the story. You want to read this.
Mr. Davis, to give your book readers an idea of what's your book all about, can you compare a popular title that has been released in the market right now? Can you think of any?
I would like to. Tom Clancy is a favorite of mine. I would like to say somebody who's read Tom Clancy would like this book. I wouldn't say I'm like Tom Clancy, but it's this plot involving a lot of things, but I told it from the perspective of one person. So you're brought into it, and then I spent a lot of time on how he thinks. So the psychological dimension of an action-adventure novel is, I think, the thing that makes this stronger. You swerve into philosophy when you're not expecting it, and I find that engaging in a book. Some of my favorite authors did that, and so I like to think that I did a good job of making you surprised by the philosophy in a great story.
All right, sir, very well said. Next book we have here. All right, tell us, what's the book all about?
This book is a book that is available. I encourage you to buy it. But this book has a fascinating background. It began in the oral tradition, and that is something that we don't have anymore. Hundreds of years ago, people would tell stories around the campfire, and they would remember the best parts and pass it on. That doesn't happen pretty much anywhere. But I got out of the Army. I had served as a Russian linguist in the United States Army. I got home. I didn't have a lot going on. And somebody said, "Will you be the pastor at our local jail?" Small county in northern Minnesota. And I had no reason to say no. But I realized that I did not want to go into that jail and lecture to people who are locked up, give them a sermon or a homily. And so I started to challenge myself every week to tell them a story, to set a story in the world and people that they know, and tell them a story. And I sort of set my goal on changing one perspective. Not even giving them one answer, but to say, what if you thought about this a little differently? And it turns out, I guess, I have an ability to do that. I can tell a story. Sometimes you're telling a story and you don't know where it's going to go. But you get to the end, and then I would get to look and see the people that it touched. And that, for me, is the most important thing. Eventually, people were like, "Could you write a copy of this for my mom? She'd like to read it." Or "Could you write that down so I can let my brother read it?" And one day, I was looking and I thought, I got enough of these to make an anthology. I put them together and I started. If you want to grab it, I'd love to show it to them. I started to do true self-publishing, I would get on my printer, I'd print a copy, and then I started to make a little bit nicer cover, and I realized a couple things. One is that it's too thick, and so I turned it into 2 volumes, and I realized I just don't have time, as I can't do 10 copies. So I decided I was open to a publisher, and so now that's available. You can get it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. Lakeside Imagination story. We live on a lake, and some of the parables are parables that Jesus told sitting on the side of the lake, and I tried to draw that connection. But they're stories that don't preach at you. They don't give you an answer. Hopefully they make you think and ask questions so that you'll have an answer that really satisfies you. So I think it's a great read. It's easy to get through. Each story wraps up, and I just think it's a great book for people in wherever, from the jail to living rooms or wherever else.
Mr. Davies, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be able to relate to your book. I'm pretty sure you were an inspiration to a lot of people as well. Let's talk about your publishing journey. Did by any chance you attempt to send your book to a traditional publishing company?
I began looking for a publisher. That was on the novel that I wrote, and you get the message that basically nobody's receiving. You can't give them anything. So you go to a publisher, you go to an agent, and not accepting at this time. So after searching, the suggestion was a shortcut is through self-publishing. If you can self-publish a book and demonstrate some market, hopefully you'll get the attention of someone. So I went the self-publishing route and found out that, admittedly, I'm an author. I'm pretty sure that my book belongs on the New York Times bestseller list. But there's a lot of people who know that. And so for a writer, know the people. That you look them up. Look at the address. Look at the phone number they give you. And I'm here with Red, and he's with URL. URL Link Print Media. You get the name right, but he called me, or one of his people called me, and I checked up on them. So even though I had gone with another, do your checking. That's the one thing I'll tell you. Don't just assume that the person calling you represents a solid company. But when you find a solid company, go at them and ask questions and push back if what they're telling you doesn't sound right. It may be, I would say, it may be that they have a good reason, or it may be that that something's going on. So I just really encourage you. That was my journey. I got left high and dry. Now I've tried again for the reasons that at least got me out here to this great show, and you begin to network. But for me, I never had a dream of it being a financial boon. I just want people to read these stories. And so I really value somebody who can say, hey, if we get this in front of people, you get what you want, and we can build our company. And so I really hope that what I do can be building the brand of a self-publishing company, and then the sky's the limit. But to get that book out there is my dream.
Mr. Davies, given your experience, the journey, the publishing and self-publishing, in your point of view, sir, what keeps you going?
I'll tell you, if you go look this up on the first comment, I commented, I give feedback on my own book. But the first one tells you about a night, I'm there in the jail. There's a big guy, he won't even talk to anybody. Looks pretty angry, looks pretty intimidating. And I tell him a story. And it touched his heart. And I didn't know that, right? I still see a big angry guy coming at me. And so I put out my hand to shake his hand, and he comes in for a hug. Not awkward, I mean, we're guys, sometimes that's awkward. But he comes in as if maybe it's the hug his dad never gave him. Because I told him a story. It connected. And that's why I tell stories. All the rest springs out from being a storyteller. But you know what? You could be a storyteller. So I have a gift. I can take an idea and make up a story, and I'm standing in front of people and I'm trying to make it go where I want. But you know what? get my book and go to somebody and read them the story that you think they'd like the most. Be a live person. Don't buy your grandpa a book with the story about the fishing. If you got a grandpa who loves fishing, go over there and read the story about the extra 16th. And you know what? You'll know why I do what I do. It's about looking in their eyes and them receiving something. And it's like being any part in that chain is worth it.
Mr. Davies, you are truly an inspiration. I want you to invite them by checking out your website. What's your website? Please spell it.
All right, my website is Unemployed Idealist, and that's one word. You know what? I better read it.
Yeah.
UNEMPLOYEDIDEALIST.com. Unemployedidealist.com. When you get to my website, there's a link to buying the book, and use that. But you can find that anyway. There's a second link to my podcast. One of the things I love to do is take a walk in the woods and untangle my thoughts. It's about 200 episodes there, but episode 202 is one of these stories that's going to be coming out as an audiobook. But you can test my book before you buy. Listen to episode 202, the extra 16th, and you'll hear a great story. But the third part, this is where I want to invite you. Third part of my website is called Doing Time to Read. If and everyone here will tell you that, all the authors have mentioned the same thing. If you hand someone a book, 75% of the time it's going up on their shelf. Even if they're a reader, they've got a long to read list and they'll get to it. But you know, there are people who will read a book. They're locked up in our prison systems. And people are always like, I got these leftover books, could I donate them? And the jail won't take them, it's a security issue. But if you get the name of a prisoner and go on Amazon and you put their name in and you send them a book, it will get to them, and you know what? It will be read. So I would love for you to go on Jeremy Davies. So I go on the site and look, and there's not a Jeremy Davies, but there's a Jerome Davis. Or else take your date of birth. So find someone who was born the same day as you. Send them a book. And you're not going to hear back. But that book is going to be read. And because it's their personal property, then when they move on, it's going to be handed to someone else. So do it with my book. That's a great idea. But do it with your book. Find some book that's touched your life. It doesn't have to be mine, but reach out. You can be part of giving them hope. And that's one of the things you'll find on my website. I'm sorry, I'm talking too long.
That's okay. So we appreciate that you're giving us like a realistic scenario for authors like you. I hope that, hey guys, once again, check his website, and he is such an inspiration. You don't want to miss it, okay? Sir Davies, thank you. Nice meeting you, sir.
Thank you so much, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you, Rob.
Thank you, guys.